Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk More on Monday. As always, I'm your intrepid host, Chloe, and we are having another special episode that is just about some things that the More team is passionate about. So, we have been talking in the last few weeks about disability advocacy, some generational healing. We sat down with the summer interns, which was really fun. Last week was a journey into what marketing can do to tell a story for a business. And this week we are talking about environmental stewardship, which is also so important in a time like this when, there is a lot of worry that some of that environment is going to go away or it's going to be sold off. So we're just going to talk about the importance of environmental stewardship and what it really means. And we are joined today by Alexis Hathaway, who is a professional in the field, works for the government of Northeast Indiana. So I'm going to turn the mic over to her to have her introduce herself and tell us a little bit more about who you are and what you do. Welcome, Alexis.
Hi. So my name is Alexis Hathaway. So when I graduated high school, I graduated in a really small town, a farming community, very tight knit. I knew we knew everybody, but I didn't know how to make my impact. But the bright side of that was that I got to be really close to the land and the farming that gave my town its identity. So when I went to college, I did a dual major, political science and organizational leadership and supervision. I was hoping initially to go to law school, but then life took its turns and the pandemic did what a pandemic does. So I graduated with those 2 degrees, and now I'm in grad school to continue my path in human resources. It's kind of a pivot, but I'm learning every day about the environment and about the people that I serve. So that's wonderful. And I'm learning about the importance of this land and all of our natural resources while I'm at it.
Yeah, absolutely. And we had talked to one of our previous guests had been in law. She practiced law for a long time. And after about a decade, she was kind of feeling the way that you mentioned you were feeling before we started the recording, which is just frustrated with, things that she didn't think that law was going to turn out to be. So I think it was probably just life pushing you in a different path instead of letting you go to law school, because you probably would have ended up the same place she was. Like, this isn't what I thought, and I wish I wouldn't have done it. So
yeah, learning every day and finding my values.
Yeah, absolutely. So for people who may not know, or this may be a new topic to them, what would you say that environmental stewardship truly means?
Sure. I think environmental stewardship is made of 3 major components, and that is recognizing our individual impact on the earth. It's impossible to be a human and to not create waste of some form.
Right.
So first it's about recognizing your impact and then taking responsibility for that impact and realizing that, maybe I did let my straw wrapper fall on the sidewalk and not pick it up. Or it could be anything. But we do need to take accountability for every interaction that we have with the environment that's built us up. And then the last component of environmental stewardship is, I think it's learning to act sustainably. Because once we deplete all of our natural resources, there's no getting them back. there might be, but we don't have any idea what that looks like. So right now, the best thing we can do is make the natural resources that we are using sustainable and usable to their full extent.
Yeah. Yeah. Utilizing those things that we know are renewable, like wind and sunshine and currents, instead of fossil fuels, which will inevitably someday run out and are terrible.
For sure. One of my favorite things about environmental stewardship is that wherever you are in life, that is always a constant issue that we're having to address, because we all humanely contribute to waste.
Right.
So whether that be ourselves individually, corporations, or businesses and communities as a whole, we are all implementing harm to this environment.
Yeah. And I think it's easy to get overwhelmed too, like you mentioned with the corporations. There's so much that they do that there's nothing we can do about that. So I think it's easy to just be like, well, they're dumping so much in the water supply. Why should I even bother? But I do think that, the more people that take into stock, we can make a difference, and our voices do matter.
They do.
Yeah. So on that vein, why is it so important to care about the environment right now?
Sure. One thing that I've learned in my few years of work is climate change is not the same thing as environmental stewardship. We typically do not use those two terms in synonymous of each other, because climate change is such a divisive topic,
Yeah.
especially in Indiana. So that topic is always approached with the term environmental stewardship, which is just as well, because I think that speaks to, like I said, the fact that we're all contributing, whether we like it or not. But that is definitely one of the pieces that shows, we are impacting the earth with our every move.
Mm-hmm.
And it's important for us to recognize the work that's been done in the climate change community, because it's very unlikely that it's all wrong.
Right.
But we don't know what's correct of all the research being done.
Yeah. I feel like that is a pretty common thread with a lot of the things that we talk about. We're just desperately trying to keep up with the research being done because, same with some of these like gender studies that people are doing. It's very new. It's probably just in the last 10 to 20 years that we've really dug our feet in and did the research necessary for climate change, for global warming. And it can, like you said, it can be divisive. People will say like, oh, I don't want to talk politics, but like it's beyond politics anymore, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like no amount of money is going to save us from the floodwaters. So we gotta, like, regardless, we gotta dig our heels in. But there's only so much that we know. Have you found as you were learning in college and as you're still continuing your education that you find, I don't know, gaps in what we know about things?
I don't know that I've so much found gaps, but I think I'm learning more in the division of people. What's important to the two parties at hand, or maybe four parties at hand, because there are people who don't believe in any of it, and
Yep.
who can blame them? It's a lot of different theories that at some point can't be argued, but they can't be proven either. So,
That's tough. So, how does what you do on a day-to-day basis, on a big picture scale, how is what you're doing promoting environmental stewardship?
of course. Um, so there are three things that I do that I think contribute to our awareness of the environment. I think number one, just educating each other, whether it be going for a walk or going to the lake on a given weekend or taking a vacation to the mountains.
Or to this podcast.
Yes. And I'm realizing that people care to protect what they can understand.
So true.
And I thought that was a really big statement just to read, because it speaks to both the empathy of what we care about and why we protect it. Mm-hmm. So I thought that was interesting. I also really appreciate working for the environment because it gave me some insight into viewing the world as a series of systems, ecosystems, the humanitarian system, the international peace system. All of those different frameworks are a different perspective to view the issues from. And for environmental stewardship, those systems all impact one another, or really any system. Yeah, I think it's just super interesting to see like the long-term impacts of these systems interacting, to be like having economic impact or a welfare impact or any of those.
Yeah, it's amazing how it all kind of comes back to having some kind of hand in environmental stewardship, like these choices that corporations and businesses are making, even if they don't know it at the time, probably have huge repercussions on the emissions that they're making, and further contamination of groundwater, and I can't even imagine.
Yes, they all impact one another, and it really makes you realize what the driving force is and what the motivating force is. Right, that's it.
It's money.
In my role, I think that's one thing that I'm learning to respect, whether I like it or not.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, we're all a cog in the wheel of capitalism, so.
Right. Yes, it's hard not to be humorous.
Just gotta laugh and smile. That is so interesting, though, that all of these systems, have a hand in each other, and it's, the more conscious we are of our choices and who we're voting for, and the corporations that we choose to promote, really can also have a hand in continued environmental stewardship.
Right, for sure.
So, I mean, like we said before, this can all be very overwhelming, and it can feel like too much. So to to end this episode on a lighter note, what are some things that you think that people can do on a daily basis to just help preserve our environment?
Sure. Usually I'd say that can be a list of like 10 things, but I tried to narrow it down to at least 3.
Okay.
I would say, for starters, reducing our waste in a healthy way, whether that be turning off a light when you leave the room, or using LEDs instead of fluorescent bulbs. Um, I think recycling is in a similar taste of reduce, reuse, recycle. You know, everything can be used twice and we can reduce our waste.
Yeah.
And the third most important thing that I thought of was we need to protect our natural environments, because that's one purpose of Acres Land Trust, and I serve on their board. I think that's one of the great things that one of the great services that they provide is they steward all of their properties so that we don't have to. Whether it's donated land or land that has been utilized previously, they will acquire the land and they will treat it to make sure it's organically maintained and natively maintained to continue our native species and continue the production of our native pollinators, etc., plants, so that someday when we feel like we don't have enough land, we'll be able to take a deep breath and know that there is land that has been protected for us, with us.
That's great work that they're doing.
Yeah, for sure. And then the last thing I think would just be to educate our friends. And it's, like I said earlier, that can be going for a walk, or that can be using a reusable lunch bag.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's usually a lot easier than you think to educate someone or to be a role model.
Yeah, I do like to be that that bug in people's ear, like encouraging people to not order from Amazon, to shop small, you know, to get out, go to their local parks, go kayaking, you know, just experience nature. And maybe while you're out there, you can pick up some trash. You just never know.
No kidding. No kidding. Yes. It's the little things.
It is. It truly is. Well, thank you so much for joining me to talk about what environmental stewardship means and how we can engage in it. If our listeners want to find you outside of this sphere, where can they find you?
Sure. I'm on Instagram at she is Alexis, and I'm on LinkedIn as Alexis Hathaway. And Acres Land Trust is also, I would give a plug to them. They do great work, and we'd love to see you be a part of it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I love talking about the environment, and hopefully this will inspire some people to make some more conscious choices.
Sure.
And please make sure to join us over on our Patreon, where we're going to dig deeper about some topics of environmental stewardship, maybe on a bigger picture scale. And make sure to join us next week when we have another exciting founder to founder episode with our founder, Ariana. Always a great series. So we will see you then. Thank you guys so much for listening. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.